Hello, all. Welcome to my fragrance journey. My name is Ron, and today I've got some perfume oils. Now, I know me, I'm probably going to waffle a bit and say fragrance oils at times, body oils, all sorts of different terms. But what I ultimately am getting at with the things that I'm sharing is that these are perfumes in an oil format, and that's what they're for. I'm in it for the scent. Any moisturizing, any additional skincare benefits are great. Those are just bonuses, and I'll definitely speak to them if anything has that quality. But for the most part, these are all about the scent. And so, yeah, let's get into it. All right, so first up, I have Citruswood, which is by Brooksskin in collaboration with Benny the Perfume Boy. Now, I have a big write up about this on my Instagram, which is always listed below. So, if you want a lot of detail or more than anything rambling, feel free to check out my post on Instagram. I think it was my most recent one that I had done. But in short, I really like this. Now, as I did mention on my Instagram post, Benny and I interact a fair bit on there. I would consider him a friend. He's very, very kind. And that said, this was not in any way sponsored. I was not gifted anything, just for full transparency. Just don't want to ever muddy the waters. So I bought this of my own accord with my own money. And aside from maybe friendship spurning me on to do so, because I'm not historically a big body oil purchaser, I, of course, didn't know that I would actually like it though, and or would ever recommend it because, yeah, I like Benny. That doesn't mean I like this oil. But I'm happy to report that I can safely say I enjoy this very much as well. So even though historically I'm not a big body oil purchaser, just because I tend to be more quote unquote normal to oily skin, so I've always kind of shied away, I have found that this is really a lovely product. First and foremost, the scent is gorgeous. It is keynotes of sandalwood, bergamot, benzoin, and for me, this really just has like a citrusy, woody quality, as the name would suggest, but also a powdery quality, kind of a talcum powder vibe, just a little bit, not a ton. I would say it's mostly the citrus, which is a very green, not terribly sweet bergamot, with then the sandalwood adding some creaminess, and then that and the benzoin kind of coming together for this kind of background of a little earthiness as well. But then throughout it is a little touch of powder, and it gives it kind of a 80s 90s sort of vibe to me, and I think it's really pretty because of that. Actually, I didn't expect it to have that facet. It gives me a lot of nostalgia, and I think that this is just really gorgeous, not only on its own, but because of that, for somebody like myself who likes a lot of classic and vintage fragrances, I find that this really pairs well with those. I'm not a big layerer, but if I'm going to, this is something that I can turn to. And then as far as the moisture aspect, being that that was a bit of a concern for me, I find that this is very controllable. It pumps out a very small amount. The scent is strong enough, so if you're going just for that, you don't need a ton. But at the same time, I can actually use this as a moisturizer, and I find that it doesn't overdo it. So, of course, if you are much more dry skinned than myself, more dehydrated skin, you might not find this to be enough. But I actually find that after a shower, this does me well. So yeah, this is Citruswood by Brooksskin in collaboration with Benny the Perfumed Boy. All right, so next up, I have Nosferatu Perfume Oil by Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. Now this, if you can't maybe tell by the diminutive size, this isn't meant to be like a body oil. It's not meant to be moisturizing. This is purely about the fragrance. And what a fragrance it is. This is definitely something I consider left of center, something a bit off the beaten path, but at the same time, I think it could be a good introduction if you are wanting to get into something a bit different. I don't think it's necessarily something that's so wild you really have to wrap your head around it. It's definitely not going to be for everybody, but I don't think it's going to repulse a lot of others either, even if it's not exactly your fragrance. Well, what is it? So, it is, what do they say? Grave dust, a crypt. It's honestly, to me, there's wine in it, which I definitely get. It's kind of slightly acidic, just like a touch, but mostly it's sweet and dark and deep, and it adds this moisture that kind of runs everything. This fragrance kind of has dual nature. It does feel a bit dry and dusty, like they say, but it also does have that wetness from the wine, and also from like a geosmin, damp earth sort of element as well. And I just think that this is so gorgeous. There's herbs in it, but I wouldn't say it's like aromatic or anything really like bright and light. This is a concoction. This is definitely like, think of that wine glass, think of the earth being mixed into it, the herbs, think of it being kind of forgotten away somewhere dark and a bit damp. And yeah, this is Nosferatu. I mean, think of the vampire, for goodness sakes. And that's kind of what this is. Bit sexy, definitely interesting. And yeah, one that I've loved for a long time. This is one of the first ones I fell in love with back like 20 years ago when I first stumbled on to Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. And I am so glad to have this bottle back in my collection. So yeah, Nosferatu by Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. So now we have the first of my 4 most recent perfume oil purchases, and these all come from Valerie's Uncommon Scents. This is a kind of indie, I guess, scented product maker. She does not just perfume oil, she does hair mists and I think like sheet sprays and some lotions, I believe, and all sorts of different things. So basically all sorts of different formats that you can get any of the different perfumes that she has in. And so I just went with the rollerball perfume oils. They are very inexpensive, normally about, I think, $5 or so a piece. And I got them at the time on an offer of, I think, $3.50. And it seems like she has $3.50 per oil, that is. And it seems like she has offers fairly regularly. So I definitely snagged them at a good time, though. I got 4, and yeah, I'm very happy. So this first one is Cashmere Noir. Now, I'm a big Cashmere fan, and this one does not disappoint. So Cashmere Accords, it really makes me think of actual, like, cashmere, like an actual sweater or a blanket or something. It's very enveloping, it's very warm, it's very cozy, very comforting. And it's hard to say that it smells like fabric, but it kind of does. It gives that vibe. It's just really beautiful. Now, this also features jasmine, amber, musk, patchouli. I would say most prominently, in addition to the Cashmere Accord, I do get patchouli. It is a patchouli that I would say leans a little more into that funky quality, not funky like rank or gone off, but I guess, people love to say like hippie, right? That's the big like descriptor that people use, usually very negatively. I like patchouli in various forms that I've had it, and this one, that slight funk that it gives, I think it actually really works though, because it still blends into that comforting warmth of the cashmere really well, and it doesn't necessarily distract from anything. It's just kind of like, oh, that's another facet to it, and I kind of catch that one in just little whiffs here and there, whereas the cashmere is very abundant, it's very present. And so yeah, I really like this one. This is one that I've worn a few times for bed, especially good for that. And yeah, this is Cashmere Noir by Valerie's Uncommon Scents. All right, so next up we have Coco Mademoiselle Type. This is their copy inspired by facsimile of Chanel's Coco Mademoiselle. Now, I've only really got at least recent familiarity with the intense version, which, as far as I understand, is truly just, for the most part, a more intense version of the original, which this is supposed to emulate. And I can say it definitely does seem very similar. Not maybe an exact copy, and I'm not smelling them side by side. I run out of my sample that I have of the Intense. It's actually atop my wish list to get a big bottle, but I just don't have it to directly compare. So going off of memory, it is definitely similar. I wouldn't say it's an exact copy, but if you are kind of itching to sample it or just kind of see if it's of profile or a fragrance that you might enjoy, I think that this wouldn't be a horrible way to try it out. It's kind of holding me over until I do make the splurge for the big bottle. So what is this supposed to smell like? Well, as far as what Valerie's website lists, this version is bergamot, orange, jasmine, patchouli, vetiver, and vanilla. Primarily, as I get with Coco Mademoiselle, this is a patchouli fragrance for me. It's a very refined, pretty patchouli. It's not the same type of patchouli that I mentioned, say, in the Cashmere Noir. It's not exactly that kind of funky vibe. It's more, again, polished, refined, like the Chanel fragrance. There is just a slight element of that je ne sais quoi that all of the Chanel fragrances have that this doesn't quite have. Again, it's enough to give you the vibe. I was happy just to try it out and see what they're doing as far as their recreations, because honestly, more than anything, it just reaffirmed that I really do want to buy the actual Coco Mademoiselle Intense in a nice big bottle once I get the chance. Probably once I finish this up, to be honest. But yeah, this is Coco Mademoiselle Type, again by Valerie's Uncommon Scent. Moving right along, we've got Gardenia. Now this is just pure and simple Gardenia. It's straightforward. It's very pretty, very lovely, fresh. Packs a nice little punch like all of these perfume oils do from Valerie's. And I love it on its own. I've been definitely on a Gardenia kick, is what I was trying to say. I've been on one of those for a minute now, as mentioned a little bit in my, I think, last video, and I appreciate all of your kind suggestions on the Elizabeth Taylor. That actually had been on my wish list for quite some time. I just hadn't gotten around to it, so your prompting spurred me on, and I went ahead and snatched a bottle of that too. And I am going to have a dedicated Gardenia video at some point. But yeah, this one's just very lovely. I think it would actually pair really well with Island Gardenia from Jovan, which is what I mentioned in that previous video, because I do find that one a little plasticky, synthetic-y, hairspray-y, just not quite exactly what I would want. It's not bad, but it just needs a little help. And I think that this could do it, because this is, one, simple enough that I don't think it's really going to clash. I think it's just going to add the extra Gardenia-ness, but it's also really smooth in comparison. And so I think the two together will be fast friends. So yeah, that's Gardenia. All right, next up we have Grape Soda Pop. Now, in addition to my Gardenia search, or really not search, I'm also just really expanding my horizons. I'm also expanding my horizons in the realm of grape fragrances, but specifically grape candied fragrances. What I'm really looking for is like a grape candy, grape Jolly Rancher type vibe, but with a little bit of a transparency, not so over the top concentrated, like maybe a touch of an aquatic note is what I really envision would be perfect. So I've been trying out different grape fragrances, and this is one of them. This is definitely very candied, very concentrated, very strong, like all the Valerie's scents have been. This actually might even be the strongest one I have. This is definitely, like, I think this to me smells most like a grape Tootsie Pop. So not like with a chocolate facet, but just the actual candy. If you can remember having a grape Tootsie Pop, that's always my favorite flavor of them. But it reminds me of those, like that specific candy. Um, it's actually so concentrated that I even initially, like if I'm smelling it like very close up, or if I'm just freshly put it on, it's almost even a little bit cough syrup. Like it's that intense. But once it kind of melds into your skin and everything, and obviously depending on how much you put on, I put on a fair amount, but not too much. Then it kind of, just gets more to the candy side, not a medicinal thing. But yeah, this is good. I like it. It's still not exactly what I'm searching for. I might have to end up being a layerer a little bit, even though I don't love to do that too often. And maybe try to expand or enhance what I've got to get where I'm trying to go. But this one, yeah, this is still a good one, and I'm still happy. And honestly, like, I wouldn't have thought I would enjoy wearing grape in such like intentional way, but it's kind of fun. Like, especially once it does kind of meld that a little bit and it gets to where it's a little more perfumey, not just straight candy. Yeah, it's really nice. So yeah, this is Grape Soda Pop. All right, moving out of one grape fragrance and into another. So this is also a recent purchase. This is Grape Raspberry from Rehab. And this is this is my second one from them. I'll talk about my other one that I have from them in just a second. And this is one that I was actually a little more hesitant on because raspberry and I don't always get on. Like, whereas I can enjoy an artificial grape and other artificial scents, and a natural scents too. It's not that I don't like the naturals, but they're all different. So I can enjoy like an artificial grape and certain other fruits. Artificial raspberry can go really wrong, in my opinion. It can get really plasticky and not a good way always. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's like a lipsticky thing, but other times it can really just not do what it needs to do. But in this case, it seems to work well. This is actually grape candy, a little bit artificial grape, that thing, but also with an earthiness. There's something in here that grounds it a bit more. I think this would be the better way to go if you were at all curious about a grape fragrance, but maybe the idea of something super candied and super artificial, like sugary soda pop vibes like the last one, if that seems a little too extreme or a little too intense, this might be a better introduction. So I do like this one, but it's interesting. I enjoy that it has that slight earthy quality, which I still don't understand where or why. But it's got that, but it's still not exactly what I'm looking for. So I would say of the two of them right now, Grape Soda Pop is more intense than I'm looking for, and it doesn't have that, again, that little aquatic note that I just have in my dream grape fragrance. But I think it still lands a little bit more as far as the overall grape scent on where I want to be. That said, though, this is still very good, and I still like this. I haven't tried the two together. That might just be overload. I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, this is Grape Raspberry by Rehab. All right, moving on to my next Rehab fragrance, and actually the first one I'd ever gotten. This is the very loved by many Choco Musk, which I think I've mentioned this before, but whenever I see this name, whenever I read it or anyone says it, I always in my head, it's to the tune of Purple Rain. So, Choco Musk, Choco Musk. Why? I don't know. Don't look for logic here. Don't look for reasoning. I just do it. And yeah, so anyway, this is Choco Musk. And this is a really lovely fragrance. Somebody recently, I can't remember who, somebody described this more as like a vanilla fragrance with chocolate, and I can see that. Like, this is not, like, this is more like Swiss Miss, like instant hot chocolate, like packet. Like if you just open that up, that sort of vanilla, because there's like the marshmallow and stuff, vanillic chocolate powder vibe. That's what this is. It's really soft. It's really pretty. I really want to get this in the perfume version. I know a lot of folks say they really prefer the oil, and that's why I went with this first. But I actually want to try the perfume because one thing I do get in this, and I've always gotten in this, is I get kind of like a Carmex vibe from it. Like a little bit of a petroleum jelly. Just a little hint. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the vanilla or the chocolate or both together or what, or the musk maybe. I mean, it's not too musky, honestly, but I get, yeah, like a Carmex vibe. It's not terribly strong. It's more when I smell it a bit close up or if I freshly applied it. So it's not like overbearing, but it's always just slightly there. And so it's always like when I catch a whiff, I'm like, oh, that's almost perfect. It's just slightly not. So I want to try the spray version though, just to see if it's any different. It's also very inexpensive as well. These all tend to be. This was, I think, like $6 on Amazon. So yeah, I really do like Choco Musk, and yeah, I'm very just pleased so far overall with Al Rehab, and I definitely want to try out more because they have a ton of fragrances as well. But yeah, that is Choco Musk. All right, on to another body oil. This is from Blanc Noir Skincare, and this is their Cocoa Butter Cashmere. Again, I told you about the cashmere. I love it. So this one, I'm opening it right now just to reacquaint myself. Gosh, it's so pretty. So this one, first off, looking at the bottle, you'll be like, oh, wow, you've really hit a good dent in there. There was a spill at one point. I did tip over the bottle at one point. I mean, I still used most of what you see, but a good like tablespoon's worth of this went to the carpet and my shorts. Very lovely. But this is really pretty. This is more on the cashmere side of things, less on the cocoa butter, which isn't a horrible thing for me because again, I like that. But I also really do like cocoa butter. So I wouldn't have been, remiss to have a bit of that or have that a bit more prominently as well. But yeah, I would say it's mostly the the cashmere, and it's really, first off, moisture and all that, again, not my main focus, but it is nice. It's actually really lovely texture. There's a real, I know this can sound weird, but there's a real softness and smoothness to this oil. Like it's just blended even more gorgeously, and it just feels lovely to apply. Sinks in well, good moisture. I would say maybe the Citruswood by Brooksskin is a little more moisturizing than this, but this one's also a little more fast absorbing. So, kind of depending on my mood and what I want. And then, of course, just fragrance wise. This one, though, is really pretty. This is something that I also find has like a fair amount of sweetness to it. There's also I get almost like a slight fruit vibe, just like slightly fruity. I don't know if that's something to do with the cocoa butter or maybe the oils or what. There's something slightly fruity in this. I couldn't even tell you what. I just vaguely on the tail end. So it's like cashmere, a little bit of the cocoa butter, and then a little hint of a fruit. And because of that, and because of the sweetness in this, and the warmth and comfort, this is one I use a lot in the evening. I use a lot with my gourmands or my bedtime scents, which tend to be very warm, gourmand type things. So yeah, this is just really lovely, and one that I'm very happy to have. And they also do other body products. I've got a body butter from them, and even though this video isn't about that, I will say that's also very nice. That is in milk something. I don't know. I'll try to list that below too. But yeah, Cocoa Butter Cashmere from Blanc Noir. Very nice. And we're ending with the Grand Dame, Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. Now this is one that I already have a dedicated video on. I think I've mentioned it in other videos too. I'm sure I have. So definitely check out my previous video. I'll try to remember to link that below. That is one of my first videos, so definitely bear with on quality. But yeah, this is just so stunning. This came out in 1953. The perfumer is Josephine Catapano, I believe. This has truly everything but the kitchen sink. I mean, spices, aldehydes, florals, incense, resins, oak moss, patchouli, amber. I mean, you name it, it's in this fragrance. But it's not a mess. It's really, really beautiful, refined, classy, very, very mature. Not in a sense of it's an, old lady fragrance, but mature in that I think you kind of, like, you need to be ready to rock this fragrance. I don't think you wear this, if you tend to love just like wispy aquatics, this might not be your cup of tea, right? This is a heavy hitter. So you want to go in with some balls, You know what I mean? That's what this fragrance is. You need balls. And I don't mean that to gender this, right? I just mean you gotta have, metaphorically, you gotta have some cojones, okay? To rock Youth Dew. But when you do, it's so beautiful and so gorgeous, bit sexy, just lovely. It's one that I will rock any time of year. In the very cold months, it's absolutely gorgeous, piled on. In the very hot months, I'm wearing it today, even here in July in Phoenix, Arizona, just need a little bit, just a few dabs of this oil. And it really will take you all throughout the day. And it's so lovely how it develops in the heat. This is one that also comes in a spray, but the oil, which they call a bath oil, that's the original version of this that came out in 1953. And that's why I grabbed this bottle. This is a modern bottle. I got this like 6-7 years ago. But they still sell it in this format in addition to the spray. They even have it in some cute vintage style bottles. I went with this one because I think it's so smart, so gorgeous, and really fits the vibe of Youth Dew. But yeah, such a good one, and one that I will always recommend. And yeah, I just love it. So definitely takes top spot of these perfume oils, and it's also one of my top fragrances of all time. So this is Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. Well, all right, my lovelies, that is it. That is all. This is what I have currently in my collection as far as perfume oils. I will, of course, let you know as things go in and out. But now I turn it over to all of you. Down in the comments, please let me know anything. If you have tried some of these fragrances, if you want to, if you prefer them in other versions, if there's other brands that I should look into, anything and everything. Let me know down below. I really love talking with everybody. That's actually my favorite part about these videos, is just really getting the opportunity to chat and geek out about fragrance a little bit more. So please hit me up down below. Also, shameless YouTuber time again. If you liked my video, I would love if you would consider subscribing, only because I am not that far from a nice solid 100. And while that does absolutely nothing, I don't get money, YouTube doesn't care, I just want to hit 100 because it's a nice little number. So if you would like to do so, please consider subscribing. And yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for joining me on my fragrance journey. I hope you're having a good rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.